I can't get used to living without you by my side. I don't wanna live alone. How are you, my internet family? I'm just leaning back to show you my beautiful Freddie Mercury picture. He has always been and always will be my bisexual hero. Rest in peace. Yeah, this video is about something I've never really talked much about, but has been highly requested ever since 2015 when I started making videos about sexuality, my sexuality. I've not gone into the lived experience of it very much, and that's kind of because you know, when I first came out online, I was in a long-term relationship and people in my life knew, but you guys obviously didn't know. And then I was single for 2 years and I had a lot going on in my private life that never saw the light of day on here, and I'm glad. And I was learning a lot about myself. So in this video, I kind of want to go into some of my experiences, some tips for dating as a bisexual, and some general stuff. And we do have a perfect sponsor as well. Because I do choose to speak out about a lot of bisexual issues on my channel, I was approached by the Bi Life on E! And I think this is just brilliant. It's the first UK TV series to ever exclusively focus on bisexual dating. As someone who grew up quite confused and watching TV shows that were focused on straight cis dating, like, you know, Blind Date and stuff like that. I think as well as being entertaining, this is going to be amazing for visibility for our community and for people to just kind of observe other bisexuals, also pansexual and fluid, and even questioning people. Sent off on a little adventure to find love in Barcelona, which is one of the LGBTQ plus capitals of Europe. The incredible Courtney Act is the presenter of the show. I am quite interested to see how it plays out, because it's basically a bunch of people all living together, all partying together, and they're kind of helping each other navigate the dating scene as bisexuals, chatting to each other about each other's experiences, because it is quite different from dating when you are straight. Oh, I can promise you that. And unlike a lot of other shows on TV, there's no competitive nature, you know, there's no winner, no one's getting voted out. It's kind of just all about the experiences of the people who are being featured on the show. I will leave a source for this down in the description box, but the number of British people alone identifying as bisexual has risen by 73% in 4 years. So it's just high time that we all kind of talk to each other about all this stuff, observe others in the same situations as us. Because when you do accept your sexuality and you realise you are on the spectrum and you're not on one end or the other, it does make things a lot more kind of complicated and interesting, and I'm going to get into a lot of that stuff in this video. But yeah, the Bi Life on E! On this date at this time, and yeah, I think it's going to be quite empowering and positive, really just celebratory of how far we've come in our community. And you know, we're all out there kind of trying to live our best lives now, and we're finding that it can be quite tough because we've not grown up with TV shows or movies or anything like that really representing our experiences of dating. So being completely real with you and honest, dating as a bisexual might sound like you have the best of both worlds and, you know, the world is your oyster and it's amazing and you have all these extra options, but really it's not like that. Sure, I'll see a lot of people that I think are attractive, but very picky when it comes to who I actually put my face on and whatnot, and then even more picky when it comes to who I will actually date and kind of allow into my inner circle. And I think it can be difficult as a bisexual. It can be difficult being the partner of a bisexual, and you really have to know yourself. You have to have amazing communication skills. And, you know, some people go through their whole lives not knowing themselves and or understanding themselves and feeling very sexually confused or romantically confused. Things became easier for me when I accepted a few truths about myself, which I have shared before. For example, that I am I tend to be more sexually attracted to women, and I am a lot more used to being in a romantic situation with men, and so many societal norms and stuff have shaped those things for me. And I didn't really have my first proper dates with girls until I was in my late 20s, by which point I feel I'd kind of gotten so used to how things, you know, should be. And I hate using air quotations, but, you know, we have these kind of societal norms and rules, and a lot of them are bullshit, but you know, that's what life was for me. I grew up watching Disney and always was drawn to very masculine men and very feminine women, and that kind of dynamic I found really tough because I am attracted to feminine women as a feminine woman. Before I get into everything, like, I noticed I was always more dominant, shall we say, when I was with a girl. And I started realizing at the base of it, I'm attracted to another person, and that their gender and their sex and stuff doesn't so much matter. However, it does dictate how I interact and engage with that person in a dating and romantic relationship. So first of all, I want to chat about dating sites. A lot of dating sites didn't really cater very well to me, so I never really got into them. On a lot of them, you have to put in if you're looking for men or women. Some of them don't give an option for both. And then I would notice there'd be a lot of kind of couples looking for a third, for threesomes, and a lot of girls who identified as hetero-flexible or bi-curious. And while yes, there was a period where I was just kind of looking to have fun, I kind of then one day woke up and was like, hey, I'm approaching 30. I want to find my person. I loved and have always loved having a person. You have this best friend around you all the time, and you have better sex, more sex. Like, there's just a lot of great benefits to going through life with someone, because life is hard. And so I kind of wanted to find my person, and I had never dated a woman properly. So I did have little things with girls. I think the longest lasted about 3 months, but they were never like that serious. And I think that's because my options were very limited. This is one thing you will find if you're bisexual and you're using dating websites. You will find a lot more of the opposite sex coming on to you or showing interest. I get so many looks of interest and stuff from men, and unless I'm in a city or a space where there is a lot of queer people, you know, like gay clubs in London, or interestingly YouTube parties, because I feel like most of the YouTubers I've met are queer, which is great, but you know, a lot of them are from America or London, and I wanted to settle in Ireland. So yeah, I did really struggle with that, with dating apps and just kind of actually finding women who were my type, if that makes sense. And tied into that are some things that I've talked about before. A lot of bisexuals are not out of the closet, but they will report anonymously feeling sexual attraction and interest to people of the same sex. And you look at the population as a whole, there isn't an enormous amount of lesbians. One tangent we're going to go on here, and I'm going to try and be careful because I know I'm talking from personal experience, but this is an experience that a lot of my boyfriends have with gay people and lesbians. They can tend to be quite biphobic without even meaning to, even more so sometimes than straight people. And I've experienced the most biphobia from other lesbians and not straight men. It's something I'm working on tackling, as you'll have noticed if you watch a lot of my videos, but it's wild how much of an impact that can have on the early days if you're a bisexual woman and you're seeing a lesbian, because it kind of comes up a lot. And let's touch on the whole gaydar thing, or like, you know, flirting or knowing if a girl is interested in you, if you're a girl too. I don't understand the gaydar thing. I think so many people make so many assumptions about other people based on a person's gender expression, and I'm so happy people are talking a lot more about gender nowadays, because we all know that one super mask guy who turns out to be gay, or that super camp guy who is super straight. Same goes for females and everyone else. You know, it's definitely not a thing. I don't think that you can just look at someone and know, but you can know if they're into you. So it's more of a me-dar, not a gay-dar. I feel like I can really tell when a girl is attracted to me in the same way I can tell a man is attracted to me, based on very heavy eye contact and just kind of the general energy and the vibe that they give. Sometimes I feel this from women who identify or have identified as straight, or maybe they're in a relationship with a man or whatever. I've definitely experienced it. Chemistry. Just feel the chemistry, and that's the way I like to think about that. So a nightclub situation, it's always been so much about like guys going over and chatting to girls, and like that's another thing, like you don't want to come across as like, I'm not saying this is all men, I'm not one of those people, just so you know, but many men have been conditioned to lay it on very heavy with girls on nights out and be quite creepy and forceful and pushy and stuff like that. And I know that it's not as bad as it used to be, but when I was younger, it was literally like getting my bum grabbed by guys on nights out. It was not nice, and I know a lot of them were kind of doing it to show off and stuff like that, but still is not acceptable. And yeah, that to me, I remember being younger and thinking like, that's flirting. Like when guys are being like that and keep insisting on buying me a drink and following me around the nightclub, I was like, that's flirting. And I never want to be like that with another woman. I never want to put any woman in a position where she feels like I'm being like trying to wind her down and convince her to be with me. I never wanted to do that. So I really struggled with knowing how to flirt with girls, and it never happened for me that much with nights out. Like I wasn't one of those kind of people when I was single where I would just always go out and like pull a girl or pull a guy or whatever. It tended to be more in my friendship circles, and with, I don't know, I hooked up more with people that I met through other people. A lot of my best experiences with having dates or sexual relationships with other women came from my job or whatever you want to call it in this industry. So I definitely think putting yourself in spaces where there is a culture of acceptance, massive, so important. I struggled so much with developing feelings for straight girls, and that there's nothing worse. I had very strong feelings for someone I was friends with, a girl, and was spending quite a lot of time with this person, and I was confused because I couldn't tell if it was just like I was having a strong friendship and I had the sexual feelings as well, or if it was romantic feelings. I don't think it really could turn romantic because she didn't have romantic feelings. Kind of similarly to how I have felt like that with male friends who are gay in the past. You can't really feel real love if it's not reciprocated. Like, love is a reciprocal thing. Infatuation is not. And yeah, I think it was an infatuation, but that was kind of really hard for me to get over, because sometimes I thought something maybe might happen, like a few times, and I was kind of hinting at that or whatever, and I found myself trying to make this person jealous, even though they definitely just didn't see me in that way at all. And that's when I realized how much bisexuality kind of always has impacted my female friendships. When I was younger, people would call me a tomboy through different phases of my life where I would, spend a lot more time hanging out with boys and stuff. And I kind of felt comfortable in the knowledge that these males, these little boys, were my buddies and were my friends, but they, had crushes on me and I had crushes on them, and that was fine and that was safe. Obviously, I didn't have crushes on all of my friends. I'm just saying the whole boy likes girl thing was just kind of the standard. But with girls, if I felt anything toward them, I always had this confusion around, is it reciprocated or whatever? Because with the boys, it was kind of like a little unspoken thing, but with the girls, I was kind of like, am I just being really creepy and weird, or whatever? This started when I was very young, but as an adult, it's quite a strange different thing, because you can become very, very close friends with someone and you can have sexual feelings for someone without it being romantic. But say for example now, I find it hard to explain to people that me having a sleepover with a female friend and sharing a bed is definitely the same for me as having a sleepover and sharing a bed with a male friend. I'm always trying to untangle the fact that everyone isn't bisexual, and I feel more comfortable staying in a bed with a straight female friend or a gay male friend rather than a straight male friend or a bisexual or lesbian female friend, if that makes sense to you. It's just this tangly mess, whatever that is about being bisexual. put that into dating. That's what I'm trying to get across here. So there's the reassuring of your partner. You know, some partners are more sensitive to bisexuality in their partner than others. My boyfriend is very understanding, but I have been with people before who've needed so much reassurance if I'm spending quite a lot of time with another woman. But then when it comes to being with someone who has a body type that you're not used to, that can be quite a challenging, interesting, scary thing. I consider myself very sexually confident, but I know that it can be really jarring to some people. So say they're having sex with a woman for the first time. They might not really know the anatomy. They'll know themselves, but every person likes things differently. I looked at my sexual history with men I'd been with, and I realized, you know, there was a lot of differences between what each one enjoyed. And the same went for the women that I was involved with, and I tended to kind of try to recreate what I like for them. But then, you know, I'll never forget the first time a girl brought up, you know, the sex toys that she quite likes in the bedroom, and the first time a lesbian showed me various sexual positions that I had never attempted or tried, because they're not things you would do with a man necessarily. So I actually ended up having to do quite a bit of research, because it's not like in porn. I don't think you can learn about same-sex sex from watching porn. That's kind of intended to be very visual. And yeah, that sexual connection, it's different. The feminine energy I'd be drawn to in the girls that I was seeing was very different from the overtly masculine type energy. And I was also involved with a couple of people who identify as non-binary, and I went through this entire thing of trying to completely tell myself that the body parts had nothing to do with the sex and nothing to do with the attraction, but for me they do. It makes the sex very different. Wearing rubber gloves to prevent the transmission of STDs with girls, you know, there's so many things that you don't really consider. Like, I grew up being involved with guys, and they would tend to shut down their emotions, and, you know, I don't cry, and thankfully that's becoming less of a problem amongst young men, but that's kind of what I was used to. And then dating girls, there's obviously the floods of emotions and the floods of hormones and crying around the time of PMS, and without stereotyping, that is certainly a thing that can affect your interactions with someone. So obviously the person at the core of them is who you're interested in, but whether they're a man or they're a woman, it definitely affects kind of a few things. So yeah, it can be a complicated ball of mess. There does be a lot of ghosting in dating with bisexuals. You know, some guys just don't want to date a bisexual girl. Some girls really are just experimenting, and that's okay. But I think the main thing is communication and just understanding what you need and what you want and learning how to express that. I cannot say it enough, but not every bisexual person wants to constantly be single and out looking for people in the same way most straight people just kind of get to a point where they're like, I want to be with someone. And I happen to be very, very happy in a relationship with a man who I have known for, I think like 10 years. I wouldn't have it any other way, because at the end of the day, I am crazy about him. I was just always going to end up with a guy or a girl. I always did think it would be a guy, and I've said that in other videos, because I would experience so much interest from very nice and hot men, and I never felt the need to turn them down just so I can find that one girl. Like, it doesn't feel like that. And I know some bisexual girls will be much more romantically and sexually drawn to women, and they'll just kind of have random passing interest in some men. You just need to figure out you and what you want and what will make you happy. What makes me happy is love. And another thing that makes me very happy is sharing all this kind of stuff in videos with you guys. I really hope you took something away from this video. I know we covered quite a lot, but please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. Please thumbs it up if you liked it, and let me know if you're going to be watching the Bi Life on E. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video very, very soon. Bye.